So this is some online. That's how it looks like. And it's really friendly and easy to use. So the first thing that you are required to do is to log into the system. So there are 3 ways you can log in. You can either log in as an administrator, as a student, or as a teacher. I'll begin with the administrator login because this will give you the entire range, and then we can narrow down depending on how fast we are for today. So everyone gets their password, then you just click on login. And you're automatically logged in into the system. So when you look there, there's a mini tab up. You can follow my mouse. There's a mini tab up there. And the first mini tab we have is for the exam room. This one is available for the students, for the teacher, and for the administrator. And under the exam room, you look, kindly follow my mouse through. If you look here under the select sound, there's a library of sounds that you can select from. And as I mentioned, we have over 80 sounds that you can select from. We have lung sounds, heart sounds, vowel sounds, and we also have brute sounds to select from. So you can always select the sounds that you want to listen to from this drop-down list. I'll select one heart sound and allow you to listen to it. So the way you select the sound, you click on the sound. Once you click on the sound, I'll now play the sound and keep quiet for a second to allow you to listen to it. So that's a normal heart sound. That's a normal heart sound, 110 beats per minute. So also here on the interface, on the first page here, there's also a torso that acts as a guideline for you, because some sounds can be auscultated both from the front and from the back side. And you have also 4 regions from which you can auscultate. So you can either have the full name or the abbreviations of them. When you come here to the select sound tab, so you can always have a primary selection. That is the main sound that you are listening to. And the students can always compare. They can also compare 2 sounds. What they will need to do then is just click on the compare session. I'll take the auscultation point out. So whenever you want to stop auscultation, just put it anywhere outside the anatomical areas where the sounds are found. This is also something that is useful for the students when they are at home. So when they are putting the stethoscope in the wrong place, no auscultation is going to take place. They always have to make sure that they put it in the right place. So what I wanted to show you is this first page here. So you've seen the torso here with the various points. You have the auscultation here, the stethoscope, sorry, and then you have the sounds on the other side. The other thing that the students can do, they can also show or hide either the names, the abbreviation, or the sites, depending on their level of knowledge. So the more they improve their knowledge of their sounds, they can end up removing or adding this as well. Then you also have a volume control tab. So this is useful for you to be able to listen to the sounds. You can always increase or decrease the sounds depending on the area that you are listening from. I'm going to select another sound just to allow you to see a comparison. I select COVID-19. So you can listen to the sounds of the COVID-19, and the students can then practice when they're listening to the sound. They can hide. For example, they can hide and try to auscultate. Once I've hidden everything and I move my stethoscope around, unless I get the sound at the correct point, no auscultation is going to take place. Let's try this. So it's really easy and user-friendly. And for the volume control here, you just have to control the sound, but remember to always match the region to the sound volume. So up here, what you can also do with this one here, you also have the corresponding phonocardiograms or EKG for the sound that you select. So the students are able to see all 3 at the same. They can see the phonocardiogram, they can see the auscultation side, and then they can also do the selection of the sound. And it's really a user-friendly interface to work with. The other thing that you can work with is you can look at the Lessons tab. That is the second tab that we are going to look at. Just click on the Lessons tab. And as I mentioned, we have a library of more than 60 lessons that have been uploaded for the students that they can always refer to. And these lessons, they explain to the students the most important things that they need to know for each and every particular sound or condition that they are auscultating about. This is a current example that we have uploaded in the system. It's a case of COVID-19. I believe this is now a relevant theme for all of us at the moment. So here the students are directed on the pathology. So first it begins with the points that the students need to remember. Then it comes to an explanation of the pathology. And it explains all down for what the students need to remember or take note of when they are doing their auscultation. The second example, I'll only use two for this case. The second example that we have for this one here, we have an overview, which is a complete lesson guide. And it explains to students various things. And it's a very large document, which is really a good learning tool for the students. They can go through and understand from the very basic things. They are also directed on how to use their palm to feel the trills when they're doing auscultation, and even the placement of the palm when they're doing auscultation. So even though they're at home, they're able to read through this and try it out on their own. So this is also a useful tool for the students. And as I mentioned, for them to look for this, they just need to look at the drop-down list and then select the particular condition or sound that they want to learn about. I'll go one step behind in the heart room. In my primary selection of the heart sounds. And one thing I want to mention is that when they're listening to the sounds, we recommend them to use good earphones. Sorry. I'll just put the stethoscope outside so you can hear me. So we recommend them to use very good earphones because the sounds that we have uploaded are really of good quality. And the frequency of the heart sounds, for example, we have the heart sounds from 20 to 650 hertz. And for the lung sounds, it's about 70 to 2000. And this is really audible. And the vowel sounds and noises are also audible for the students. I'll move to the third tab, which is now the assignments tab. And remember, I'm using the administrator view because I want to show you the entire library of the content that you can use both as a student and as a teacher. So the admin is the one that is creating the content and the student is reading what has been created. Here we have the assignments tab. This is something that is also useful for the teachers. So the teachers can be able to create assignments for their students that they can work through. And it's very easy to do. All you need to do is go to the Add a New Assignment tab as an example. So you can always create your own assignment and then upload it for the students to follow. You can also paste this from a document, or you can decide to import it from a link. You just insert a link and then the assignment will be uploaded for the students. Then they can see it from their view. The next tab that I'm going to walk you through is the Quizzes tab. So here under the Quizzes tab, we also have a wide selection of quizzes that have been created for the students that they can read through. So that ranges from the heart sounds to the brutes and the breath sounds. I'll click on an example. So the students are able to see the quizzes. And as a teacher, you can always here add a question or you can edit the quiz. This is the tab that you would use for that. Or you can delete any of the quizzes from the lists. The next tab that we are going to interact with is the test tab. So remember, as an institution, you can always set up your exams prior to. You just have to select. I've selected an example here. This is an example of a basic heart sound test that was created. You can see the weight of the test, so you can always define the weight of the test. You can define the test time that the students are supposed to do it, and the fail points also, and the due date. And once you enable the test, the students are then able to view this from their side. I'll just scroll down slowly for you to be able to see a sample of the tests. The next tab that I'll walk you through is the course plan tab. So the other thing is that the interface is really friendly. If you get if one of the things is not as it is supposed to be, you get a feedback from the system. For example, here it is telling me that the total weight is larger than 100 because I had set 100 to be maximum for the test. So I'm supposed to check and modify the weights of the test that I have created. The next step that we have with SAM Online is that you also have the possibility of teachers working through together in a collaborative way. So you can assign teachers classes here. There's a list here that allows you to do that. And you can also import or export this from an Excel. It's really easy to use and user-friendly. So you just click on import and then this will be imported. And if you want to add a new teacher, just make sure you add the first name, the last name, and then you add an email and add the teacher to the system. The other tab that I'm going to walk you through is the classes tab. So under the classes here, as an administrator, you're able to organize and sort out the classes of the students. So this is a tool that is useful for assigning teachers, especially where you have multiple teachers who can do multiple tasks for students. So you can always create a new class and assign a class to various teachers, and they can always see who is supposed to coordinate what. So as we mentioned, this is a useful tool, especially now that remote learning is becoming more emphasis as movements are limited. So teachers don't need to be physically there. They can as well do this from the comfort of their homes. The other tab that I'll walk you through is the Students tab. So this one allows you to create a list of students. And when you create the Students tabs, you can be able to send them information that you want from here. And you can also import this, as I mentioned, you can import it from an Excel file, or you can also do it the other way around. You can also export it out. The final file is the arrhythmia section. So with the arrhythmia section here, we have a library of simulated arrhythmia sounds that the students can also interact with. And we have a menu here. Just click on the menu tab. Then there's a disclaimer information. So we have a list of arrhythmia sounds that the students can interact with. And in order to do this, you would need to double click on any sound, any of the arrhythmias. And then the arrhythmia sound is going to be open for you. Up front in the middle, you have the name of the arrhythmia sound that the students can look at. The arrhythmia, this one is a sinus rhythm that has 100 beats per minute. Then you have the title, you have the type of rhythm, and a description there. There is a tab that you can interact with. I'll walk you through the steps on how to interact with this one here. So the first thing you can do under the arrhythmia, you can decide to freeze in case you're in a class and you want to explain something, so you can just freeze and stop the movement, or you can decide to start again, and it is going to be shown to the students or the teacher who's preparing for this. The next tab that you can do, you can decide to zoom in or zoom out. So once you zoom in, you have a larger view of the arrhythmia. And you can use the drop-down task list here to scroll through and read through the properties of the arrhythmia sound that's being referred to. You can also decide to switch off the grid just by clicking on that. On off. And the next thing that you can also do here on the taskbar, you can also decide to switch on the ruler, so you can switch it either on or off. So the students are supposed to measure the rates in seconds to beats per minute, so they can always see where they get themselves. It also allows you to compare various arrhythmias when you select on compare. So you have two tabs here. So the upper tab allows you to select the upper arrhythmia sound, and the second one allows you to select the lower one. So for example, I would compare and then you have both of them. So the students are able in their studies to compare two within one view. Or I can also decide to use the show and hide array that shows and hides the tab button down here. Or you can decide to move back and just close the entire menu. So this is from the administrator point of view. I wanted to start with the administrator before we go into the student for you to be able to understand. So with the administrator license, you're able to create content, you're able to assign the teachers on what they do, and the students as well. All this is done from the administrator view here. I'm going to log out now, and then we're going to look at the student. So you realize that here we have a different set of tabs for the student. The student has a different view. And remember, for some online, you can either buy some online as a standalone product, or you can get some online whenever you buy our SAM 3G mannequin, our SAM 2 mannequin, our PAT mannequin, and the BHS mannequin, which is our wearable simulator. So whenever you buy these these four items that I have mentioned, you get a complimentary 1 year free usage to SAM online. Let's look now at the students. A couple of tabs up here have changed, but the concept is really the same. So whenever you're explaining to the students, the most important tab for them, just as with the administrator, is the exam room. Everything remains the same. They need to be able to use the stethoscope. They can either select by just dragging it, and to stop the sound, in case you're explaining something, you just remove the stethoscope from the auscultation point. So that's what the students have. The other thing that the students have here, they do have the lessons. So when you register for the SAM online account, the lessons will also be available for you, as we had looked at in the previous account with the administrator. Then students now have assignments. So here the students, they can only read. They cannot create, they cannot change, they cannot edit. They only have the possibility of reading what you had uploaded as an administrator. So I had the 4 cases here, so the students are able to see. And what is good is that they're also able to see if there's the due date of the assignments and the weight that it comes with it. So they'll just need to click on assignments. And then they would see the content of the assignment. The other thing is the quizzes. So the students, they also have the quizzes here. Using the same concept, just look at the drop-down list, select on any quiz that had been uploaded previously. Then they just take a test by clicking and they submit. So the system automatically tells them, for example, here my score is 0, I did not pass the quiz, and it gives you the correct answer. The answer that you keyed in is shown to you, and the correct answer that was supposed to be shown is also given to you. So we have a huge range of quizzes that they can select from. And remember, as an administrator, you can also define the quiz that you want for your classroom. I'll select randomly a second quiz that the students can take with more sounds. So this is a third hard sound. I'm just selecting randomly without reading the test. And the concept is the same. So they will be shown if the answer is correct or wrong, and the explanation to the answer in details, what they were supposed to have keyed in there. The other tab that the students have is the tests tab. I'll click on it. So remember, as the administrator, I created all the content. So the students here, they get the instructions. This is the view that they have. And all they need to do, I can define the instructions as the administrator. They need to see what they have to do here. And once they are ready to go through the test that I created, they just need to click on Start Test. So they are shown the amount of time that they have, So my score is submitted to the system. And immediately I get the results and the answers. The next tab that the students have with SAM Online is that they are able to see the grading that they receive from the test that they have made. So they're able to see if there are any pending assignments. They can have a look and see the assignments that are pending. They're able to see the tests, the scores that they made, and the weight and the final contributions that these tests have, and the quizzes as well. So here they have an overview of all the three in their gradebook. The other new tab that they have here that they are able to see, this is a new one also, is the syllabus. So if I had defined the syllabus for them as the administrator, they're able to look through the syllabus. And finally, they also have the arrhythmia, just as we had with the previous one. So they can go to the menu and look through the various things. So it's really easy to use for the students. The last login that we are going to make is that one for the teacher. So we've looked at the administrator, we've looked at the student. Let's see what the teacher can do. I'll just sign out and log in as a teacher. So the exam room is standard, as I mentioned, for the students, for the teachers, and for the administrator. The teacher has the same opportunity. But here, additionally to the assignment and the quizzes, the teacher also has a gradebook. So, for example, if I have an assignment and I allocate my students, I can see the students here, and you can also edit this. So this is an additional one that the teacher has. Additionally, the teacher also has the course plan. So here under the course plan, as a teacher, I'm able to see all the quizzes that I have set up. I'm able to see all the assignments that I've created for the students and all the tests that I expect the students to take. They're all given here under the course plan. And finally, you also have a useful tool for training, which is the timesheet. So here you're able, as a teacher, once you have all your students logged in, you're always able to assess and follow up on the amount of time that they spent learning. So you can see the last date that they accessed the lesson that you had created for them, and you're able to tell which students are actively using the software and which students are not doing anything with the software. So the teacher is also able to follow up even without being physically there with the students. And lastly, the other thing that the teacher has is the arrhythmia. And this is similar to what we had with the administrator and with the student sound as well. So the menu is the same.